Hello, everybody. I'm here with some of my favorite people in the whole world. How is everybody today? People in the whole world. How is everybody
Fantastic.
today?
Wow, what an intro. Amazing. Amazing to be back.
Yeah,
Finally Monday.
exactly. Monday, CTO's favorite day of the week, I
It
think.
is. I love my life. I've always had, work that I really loved and that feel, I'm growing, but I've never had so much fun as when after I got into crypto. It is amazing. It never feels like a job, right? We're just having fun every single day. I absolutely love it. I
Yeah,
absolutely
it's
love it.
funny because we went through a pretty brutal bear, but we're all seasoned and old enough to know that the bear is where billions are made. So we were excited with price opportunities where people sometimes, it's funny when you see like Bitcoin take a dip. This morning it took a dip, a little artificial dip down 400, $500, and it bounced right back again. But people wake up and they see it. It's like, oh no, Bitcoin's down. It's so sad. It's like, no, that's an opportunity because we know it's going
Oh
up.
yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah,
Because I feel that we're really in the beginning of a big run. So I'm sitting every day hoping for a dip now, like preferably so big crash that people don't dare to buy, and that's the dip to really,
yeah,
add more position if we get the chance. I mean, if we don't get the chance, okay, but I, I that's what I hope
you,
for.
you know, guys, on my channel, I call that people are brain damaged. And I have experienced this kind of brain damage in the past when I was new in crypto because like the bear market, it really damages your brain. For 2 years we're just going down, it's just down and down, and each dip you think, "Oh, I'm buying the dip," and it's just down. Man, after 2 years your brain, it's so abused, it's like psychological abuse. And then the bull market comes, and that's when you turn bearish. You're like, no, no, it's not, it's gonna dump, it's gonna dump. And then what happens?
uh,
People are bearish all the way until the peak, and at the peak they turn bullish. That's when they start dumping. So it's really time to switch into the bullishness where the dips are actually for buying, which they are right now.
yeah. That you've
Mm,
just nailed the psychology of markets and market
yeah.
cycles, the whole roller coaster. And yeah, and the
And I
other
mean,
thing
it sounds
is
like a joke, but it is 100% real. Because when is it the bottom? The bottom is when the last optimist has given up. And so that is what makes the bottom. Because when there is no one left to sell,
yeah,
that's the bottom.
good.
And
Well,
that's when the peak depression is every
awesome.
time.
Well, thank you both for joining, everybody. Do not forget to subscribe to the channels below. The links will be added, hopefully momentarily, as we speak, if they're not already there. Oh, here they are. Ah, yeah, links will be down below, but these are the two channels. You get a very good mix of points of view from the three of us, and that's why we gel so well together. Well, today you'll notice as well, my title is in Spanish because we have some history, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. Now, it's not altogether completely positive, but we do have a new president in Argentina. And why is that significant? Why do we care? Well, first of all, there's a couple of things he did mention. I can't remember his exact words, but words to the effect of Bitcoin is a movement towards the return of money to its original creator and the private sector and the people. And that's a very profound statement. The return of money and power to the people. There was that tweet you shared of him saying all the government departments fire,
Yeah.
fire, fire, like rip everything apart. And that's kind of an interesting perspective. And it goes bigger than just that. He is very much disliked in Latin America because humans hate change. So I'd like to dwell on this for a second, and also the fact that the guy who ran crypto for Meta just said Bitcoin is the only viable neutral settlement asset and network, and it can usher in a new global real-time payment system. So I'd like to take your opinion, CTO, first. What do you think of just the last 24 hours, and how do you frame it in your mind?
Yeah, so much has happened. I just saw that Argentina stocks really rallied on this news.
Mm,
Someone sent it just now. I didn't notice that before, but that's what the market thinks about this news. they feel that it is positive for Argentina. And I just I shared with you guys. I wrote that I think that social media will be fun again because this guy seems very colorful, to say the least. But clearly, the market also think that he's going to bring good economic impact. That's why stocks go up.
Yeah, well, there's another counterpoint to that too. The unions hate him or are terrified of him. And I'm not sure why. We know we're having problems with the unions all over the world, which will come to a conversation later regarding AI and everything else. But sorry, CTO, you were about to say something.
Yeah, no, so I think it's very positive, of course. I mean, he's very dramatic in everything he's saying and maybe exaggerating a little bit, but he definitely has a perspective that things like Bitcoin can be positive. And obviously, I mean, he has seen what positive momentum El Salvador has gotten as a direct result of embracing Bitcoin. They attract investment, they attract competence, they attract companies, they attract finance. And in a very short time, kind of taken this perception of El Salvador from a tricky, dangerous place to a place that is positive if you want to start up your new digital company somewhere. And in just 2 years or something like that. So of course this guy has seen that and plays partly the same game, and it worked. He won the election. So I think, I mean, we talked about it before. One guy seems a lunatic, but when the first follower comes and kind of does the same thing and it works for him too, I'm telling you all, that's not going to be the last one. That's going to be number 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 10 and 20 and all of them. Because young people like digital. They are pro-digital. They live in the digital world. Anyone who has children, from 2 years old, 1 year old, you can see that they like the digital domain, and up teenagers. Young people like digital. And being anti-digital is probably not good if you want to win election. And maybe this becomes clearer in countries that have a younger population than in countries with like an aging population who felt that things were better before. But in many countries, this is going to happen exactly what happened in Argentina. There's going to come pro-digital presidents and they're going to win the elections, just like happened here. So I think this is very positive.
This is exactly why I call this video Pay Attention. In Spanish. Ivan, what do you think of all these changes in the world? And is it the beginning of a tipping point, a revolution, more political leaders making a change?
Yeah, well, now it's action time. We've had the speaking time, now it's action time. And I really like that he wants to remove all of these ministries, because to remove corruption, you cannot just replace a guy and put a new one. You really need to eradicate and start from scratch, and ideally also remove taxes, or at least lower them a lot, so there's not a lot to steal, there's not a lot to be corrupt around. So if he does that, it's going to be a big change. The problem is, normally when you have a president or a new government, if they cannot replace the everything underneath, it's not a guarantee that their policy is going to be executed, and it's not a guarantee that the apparatus will adapt instantly. So if he can just remove all of this old corrupt garbage and create new institutions and remove the central bank, I mean, that would be epic if he does, and do something better. I think he spoke about moving to the dollar. If he can somehow get Bitcoin into the mix, then he's going to really change the world on a big level, because then we have a G20 country who is a Bitcoin-based economy. That would be insane. Let's see. I mean, obviously, it's a way bigger country, way bigger economy than El Salvador. But I just feel now it's action time, because it's one thing to speak, another thing to act when you actually get into the position and into the office, and you see that man, it was way more complex than we thought. But yeah, let's see how that evolves. The coming years will tell.
And there is some tragic news as well. If you look at this little chart I prepared just to show you how bad things are in Argentina, literally, Argentina's per capita GDP has barely doubled in 100 years. That, when you see that chart, you say, oh my goodness. I mean, it's worse than Syria. It's worse than South Africa. It's worse than Ghana, Algeria. This is in the bottom of a list you don't want to be on. And part of it is because of the economic problems. And also, this also happened. Bitcoin hit a new all-time high in Argentinian pesos as well, and Turkish lira as well, and probably Russian ruble. But, you know, when you value Bitcoin in these wasting fiat currencies, you see a very, very stark chart. What is it? 400% for the year instead of in US dollar terms, 120%. And that's just 1 year. If you look at 5 years, it's a really terrifying picture. So something needs to change. It's of course not all good news, because he has spoken about a dollar-based central bank digital currency for Argentina. He's also maybe open to Bitcoin, but don't expect Bitcoin to be a currency there. Like the German minister, did you hear the story about the German minister from the AfD last week saying she wants to make Bitcoin legal tender in Germany? That was
that one.
Friday. Yeah, it was big news.
Germany.
Her name
That's why
is
I'm looking
Carol
for that,
something.
but that's the interesting thing also. It's countries which has some issues that are more prone to adopt something new, to try something new. When things are pretty good, you feel lazy and you get like fat and lazy and feel, so much change. We just keep like we had yesterday, right? But when there is a problem, you are embracing something new. And that could lead that it's those countries who then jump ahead because they actually did something with this whole new digital revolution.
Yeah, and correction, I don't know if she's a minister or not. I can't remember her name, but
I see it's member of parliament, but it's kind of like CTO Larson says here that young people love crypto. They don't like banks. I know you have a video on your channel somewhere, CTO, where you look at the research where it's clear that the younger generation, they are trusting crypto. They don't trust banks. Like it's research. It's not debatable. It's research that people under 30, millennials, they are pro Bitcoin. But most of the money in the world is still controlled by the older generation. That's why all the big banks, they don't really want to move to crypto, because they're still catering to the older generation. And so the question is, when will politicians start to adapt to the new generation? So in a country like Germany, which is European Union, you don't really see a lot of this, innovation, and it's not El Salvador, basically, Germany. But still, you see, this member of parliament, she wants some young voters. She wants to be like the crypto. It's a great way to brand yourself as a politician. I mean, if I would be a politician, maybe that's what I would do, because how else do you stand out? All are the same. If you say, hey, let's make Bitcoin legal tender, man, maybe CZ will call me next week and also sponsor my campaign. It's amazing. Like this is what more and more of them should start realizing, and they should start clicking for more and more politicians. It's a question of time as the younger generation becomes more powerful as time passes.
And then the rude awakening of inflation across all countries in the world, not just US, has helped people understand the importance of macroeconomics, the importance of dollar and fiat debasement, and they need something harder, and they need Bitcoin. So let's switch gears for a second. Let's talk about 2023. This is a little snippet from a cool article, but Bitcoin is up over 120% year to date. In fact, it's even higher than that now. GBTC 253%, Solana nearly 500%. I wanted to get your opinion, because we've been kind of along for the ride all year, but how does this year shape up? And I can't get over the fact that we are still so early. We are not even near the halving. We're 5 months away from the halving, and 2023 has been incredible. We knew it would be good, but do you think it's way better than expectations, or was this in line with your expectations? Ivan, what do you think so far?
Yeah, I think it's in line with expectations. And I know that many people now are feeling PTSD from the Corona dump, because it was exactly like last cycle, where we pumped quite early in the cycle to 14K. Everyone thought it's the new bull market, all-time high. And then, bam, we dumped from 14 to 3.8. So I feel that many people are getting that PTSD. But I think that the market will not repeat this because too many people are thinking about that. And that's why many people are hesitating still. So I don't think it's going to repeat itself again in the same fashion, I think we're going to see more of a cycle which was before the last one, where we basically kind of smoothly entered into the parabola. So I don't think it's too early. The time from peak to bottom has been 52 weeks, and now we are climbing back up towards all-time high, towards the halving. And I'm expecting a smooth either sideways or tilted upwards until the halving, and then parabola afterwards.
Yeah, Ivan, you said all-time high at the halving. You think we get to 69K?
Towards the halving, we start poking there. We start showing that, hey, it's gonna happen. Maybe 50K, 55, 60. I mean, we're there in the vicinity of it. If we are true cycle maximalists, then the halving will happen towards the all-time high will happen towards the end of next year. But listen, it's not an exact science. There is a very good chance that we start already show signs that we're close around the halving. It wouldn't surprise me anyway.
Yes. CTO, my target for the halving in April 14th, 2024, all the fours there, I expected 35 to 42K. Now we're at exactly 37,500 almost. It's blown my targets away. So I did not expect these types of results so far. That means I'm not as bullish as Ivan. What about you, CTO?
I mean, I feel that the biggest learning that I've had through all these years is that it tends to go further than you think. If only taking everyone watching, if you only remember one thing from this stream, remember that it has done that at least since the 6 years I've been here. So my guess is that it will continue to do that. So if you think it's going to go to some point, double it 5 times, 10 times. It's going to be much higher if you think it's going to go up, or it's going to be much lower if you think it's going to go down. We always tend to think linearly. We think that it's going to go a little bit. It's going to be about the same like today, and a little more or a little less. But it tends to be an exponential development, which is captured very well on a logarithmic chart. But it's very difficult to understand with our human brain because we think linearly. We can't understand what it means to go 10 times up. It completely changes perhaps your whole financial life. And the same thing if it goes 90% down and 99% down, what does that mean? So I think it will continue like that. I think that Bitcoin will continue to surprise us. The moves will be bigger than we optimists here, that we three optimists can imagine. The dips is going to be more brutal than we think because they have to shake anyone out. It has to be more brutal than everyone expects. So we start hesitating. Everyone today is saying, I'm waiting for the dip. When the dip comes, I'm going to buy. I'm telling you, they're not going to buy. When the dip comes, those people who didn't buy the bottom, they're not going to buy the dip. They're going to hesitate and feel like, actually, the bull market is over here. It's clearly over. Good, I didn't buy. That's the bottom. So, yeah,
guys,
I think we could get a big dip somewhere along the way that will be so brutal that people start hesitating, and that's the time to buy if you're not bought already.
And the dip will be created by people who are almost at break even, because a lot of people have been underwater during the last 2 years. So once we start getting back to, they're 15% down, 20% down, a lot of them will say, okay, I'm almost break even. I've had 2 years of hell. Let me sell now. And it's probably way more people than we think that are going to do this. And that's probably what's going to cause this dip that UCTO speak about. I also think it's going to happen due to this break even mentality. Those that are not true believers in crypto and don't want to be here for another bull market, they're just happy they kind of got out kind of break even. It's probably going to happen.
So I disagree with both of you. And let me explain why. First of all, we'll go back in history. Everybody was expecting 100,000, 250,000, 400,000 last run. They expected ETH to go to 20,000, etc. None of that happened. ETH hit 4,900. Bitcoin only hit 69K. I was one of the lowest targets of Bitcoin. I had 89K as a target for the last bull run. and maybe there was some manipulation that kept the lid on it, etc. What's different this time is the asset is more mature, more stable, and per this chart here, let me pop it up. For the first time ever, we're going into a situation where the actual liquid supply and highly liquid supply is going down into a supply crunch with the halving. And that combined with additional institution demand of the spot ETFs, etc., it's very, very different this time. This is where I do agree with you, CTO, that we could get a much bigger pump than ever before. This cycle could be bigger because there's so little supply and there's so much more money coming in. If 14 billion comes in the next 12 to 18 months, we're going way north of 100K real fast. And that's just because people are not selling. It's much more mature. There's very little available to buy if money does come in. And that's where I think it is different this time. Everything's different and everything's moving faster because people are front running what they expect will happen. So what do you guys think of that? This is a unique setup that has never happened in the history of Bitcoin, where supply is diminishing going into a halving cycle. And it's all happening way earlier.
Yeah, but we agree that it's gonna pump. You don't think we're gonna see a big dip, right? That's the only disagreement. Or
No,
what don't we
stable.
disagree on?
There's not enough. There's not enough sellers. Okay, so nearly 80% now is held by long-term holders.
I'm not sure we will get a big dip either because it's already set up. I mean, the market has to make the many lose in some way. That's how it's set up. And most people are sidelined. They're not on the boat. They didn't get in when we three sat here in the beginning of the year and were very optimistic. No one was watching almost. They weren't there. So all those people are sidelined, and I think they're still sidelined. That's my analysis. So it could be that dip doesn't come. For sure that it will not be a small, comfortable dip to let everyone get on the boat. Hello, is there anyone left? Please come on board. Soon the train is leaving. It's not going to be like that. Either there is no dip at all, so they remain sidelined, or there is such a big dip that they still don't buy, even when they get the chance. That's my two scenarios, and I'm playing both. I'm gonna, whichever of those two happens, I'm happy.
Yeah, because every single little mini dip, if you look at the trajectory over the last month, every little dip is bought up. You see the price fall, you watch the SVP, money comes in and snags it. And maybe it's because of the retail that aren't on the boat and said, oh, I missed 15.5, I missed 18, I missed 21, I missed 25, I missed 30, I missed 32. If I see 35 now, because I've heard this exact comment, I'm buying at 35. We don't know if we're going to get to 35 again. Okay, we were there a few days ago, but could it just be an upward trajectory from here? This is interesting. Because
yeah, I mean, we could bump to 55 and then dump to 37 like it is now. It would be quite a shakeout. Yeah, I mean, it sounds too good to be true just based on my, spider sense from all the markets that we just, smoothly sail into the sunset. It just goes to 100K, 200K. BlackRock is in, all the ETFs are in. But yeah, whether we're going to go below the current level, I don't know. Maybe not. But the fact that we're going to have a bit of a shaking up to remove the weak hands and to make it to make everyone question a bit, normally that happens in each cycle. But it could be from higher levels. Absolutely.
Yeah. There's another thing that's actually happening behind the scenes, and this chart is courtesy of Raoul Pal from the Global Macro Investor. And I track liquidity and global money supply like an eagle because I know there's direct correlation. So if you look here, this is Bitcoin year over year, and blue is global M2 money supply. Notice anything? They are highly correlated. And money supply is about to increase in the US and in the Europe zone and China and many other places in the world. There is more money coming. That means that's going to float all boats, including risk assets and Bitcoin. CTO.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. Liquidity is a huge thing. So liquidity means that there is more money coming in, and that means that there will be buy pressure, price goes up. So absolutely, 100%. I'm also tracking the money supply. It's very interesting.
Good. Ivan, any thoughts on liquidity, money?
Yeah, I mean, the reason why I'm super confident in buying every dip, even if there is a possibility of a bigger shakeout, is because of Tether. They're printing. When they're printing, time to buy. All the dips are for buying. And of course, on a global level, we see the liquidity on the chart here on the screen. The same thing. There is more money in the market. It's time to buy. And most people, they are hesitating too much because they are so hurt by the bear market. But when Tether is printing, guys, it is a strong signal. And this is more of a global TradFi metric of the same thing.
Okay, Ivan, you nailed something at the very beginning of our conversation today that I want to double tap into. And that is, imagine you're sitting down for a beer with somebody who is still PTSD, still fearful, still not on the train. In 2 sentences, how would you convince them to get on the train? Like, to bite the bullet?
To bite the bullet, I don't know if you can convince anyone because they need their own experience. Like if someone, I'm thinking when I was a noob in crypto and just was fully new, didn't know anything. It doesn't matter what anyone tells me. You have to be in the market, make mistakes. Like I've seen Tether print in the last market and it's been so correlated, and then when they stop, the market stopped. So it's just, I have to tell them, listen, trust me, bro, I have experience here. So for a second, if you just listen, and maybe I can teach you something. When Tether prints, you buy. When the trend on Bitcoin is up, you buy. When liquidity is here, you buy. We've been when it is 52 weeks from the top to the bottom, you buy. Before the halving, you buy. Like, what else do you want from me? It's like everything, all the signals are here. And but I know it's still not going to convince someone who is not here in the market. It's impossible to convince them. They have to just start getting into it, getting a bit of Bitcoin, following the market with $100, $200. Yeah. Convincing anyone of anything is impossible. They have to experience it.
And then, CTO, there's another community of people that they know they've missed the Bitcoin boat. So now they're YOLOing into meme coins instead. What would you advise them?
Yeah, that's a harder one to convince. But I think, like a little bit like Ivan said here, you have to buy something a little bit. That's the only way to learn, because only then you will start paying attention, you will start studying. So yeah, I mean, if someone doesn't have any crypto and listening here, I mean, buy with a couple of $100. Everyone can afford to lose that. So it, like, some clothes or something. If it goes bad, you lose it. Okay, you wear the same clothes longer. That's the only consequence in your life.
Yeah.
But by buying a little bit, you will start studying. When price goes up, you get excited, you study more, you learn more. That's the only way to learn. That is to get some sort of price exposure and then learn what this is all about.
Wow, that's my tip. Bitcoin just pumped a lot because of the energy here in the audience. We have nearly 1,700 people watching live. Thank you for the support. And don't forget to, it'll be over 2,000 by the time we end. But let's jump in. I want to talk about Ethereum for a second too. This has been the big stunner for me for this whole market. And we are currently at about a 24% discount to where Ethereum should be based on means, based on averages, based on trends, discount to Bitcoin. So Ethereum has been vexing me this whole cycle. I still hold. I have done some interesting things with them. Remember, we had a DCA show, 12, 13 weeks ago, and the ETH from Grayscale was at 55% discount. Now it's at 12%. So I did buy some of that, but I expected proper ETH pure form to move, and it hasn't. Is it time for ETH to move? Maybe, CTO, you have a chart here you can share with us.
Absolutely. Let me do that.
And Ivan, while he's pulling that up, what do you think? ETH undervalued or ETH dead?
Well, I think it is definitely undervalued. All money is on ETH. It is the Wall Street of crypto, you can say. everyone who is using crypto and interacting with smart contracts, most of the net worth, crypto net worth that is interacting with dApps and so on and so forth, it is on ETH, and it has underperformed absolutely. So is it that is dead and it's not gonna go up and it's just gonna go down and is gonna be like minus 40% in the, in a few months discount to Bitcoin? I don't think so. I think that we see different ecosystems pump at different times. So we've seen Solana, we've seen AI earlier this year, and ETH hasn't really done that. So yeah, let's see. There is a good chance that ETH is next, and then everyone will say, "Oh, of course,
Yeah.
ETH is next."
And in the last 8 days, we had 3 huge asset managers filing for spot ETFs for Ethereum: BlackRock, Nomura out of Japan, which is a huge global bank, and Fidelity last Friday. These 3 alone run about 23 trillion in assets. Like, it's mind melting when you think about, if they say, okay, guys, we need a 0.5% allocation of our AUM to Ethereum to their clients, Ethereum go to the moon, especially with the IP 1559 and the deflationary nature.
Yeah, we have to remember how much inflation has been decreased, and in the bull market, it's going to be deflationary when there are main transactions and people burn ETH in every transaction. So I think it is the market is not pricing it in right now anyway, and it has been underperforming. So I see it more as an opportunity.
Yeah, and Ivan, as you correctly say as well, I think 92% or 95% of all DeFi runs on Ethereum one way or another. Okay, we have a chart here. Let's pop this puppy up and walk us through it.
Because it is at a very interesting point. I have I send this Friday tier report every single Friday, and for 1 year I've written, oh, it's just boring, it's just down, nothing is happening. But now there is actually a change. So if we look at the USD chart first, this is an ascending triangle. So if it breaks out, if it breaks above this level here, 2,100, little bit more, 2,150, and breaks out, this is an ascending triangle, which is a well-defined chart pattern, and it gets a target all the way up here at almost 4,000 on the log chart. It hasn't yet, but it is at an interesting point. And then if we look at the Ethereum versus BTC chart, we also see something very interesting. This is a double bottom here. It's on a pretty short time frame, so it's less reliable. It retested once and held, and then the breakout point of this double bottom retested one more time and it held again. So we don't know for sure, but this is a bottom formation. So if this holds, this could very well be the bottom. The invalidation would be if it makes new lows. But it hasn't yet. It has turned this level into support and it held. So I actually I increased my Ethereum exposure here after this double bottom confirmation. And I will hold it unless it makes new lows. So I'm pretty excited here actually for Ethereum, because this is the first time in a long time there has been some action on the Ethereum chart. So let's see. It's not enough yet to turn the Ethereum to Bitcoin trend up, but it wouldn't be that at the bottom, because it needs to, show that it's serious before the trend turns up. But on the dollar chart, the trend is actually up, so we could get an ascending triangle breakout in an uptrend against the dollar here. So it's very interesting, very exciting. I'm monitoring this now.
Good. And so you both agree then that you believe Ethereum is 24% discount to Bitcoin, given history? Or is there a chance that people are moving to new, more modern layer ones? That's the big question.
Yeah, absolutely. That could be the case also. I mean, many times in the past, everyone is so sure that, this coin is going to come back because it's so great. And then it doesn't, because there's other projects that are kind of doing the same thing, but better, and it never comes back. So can that never happen to Ethereum? Of course it can happen. Absolutely. That's why I'm not, if it continues going down, I'm not going to hold it. I'm not going to hodl it on the way down. Absolutely not. Because there could come a day this year or in a couple of years where the dip never ends for one of the altcoins, especially. The use case is taken over by another one that's kind of similar, just a little better.
Yep. Okay, there's another interesting chart too. This is the active supply of, let me pop it up so you guys can see, of active over the last year of Bitcoin and ETH. And at its peak, 59% of Bitcoin supply was active between March 2017 and 2018. Whereas in the past year, only 30%. That's half. And we're going into a halving. Again, this is an unprecedented time. For Ethereum, 86% of its supply was active, literally active in a year. 86% of it between July 2016 and 2017. This year, it's 39%. This is also supports the whole supply crunch for both assets. And Ethereum has been falling faster than Bitcoin. So another point here of how if there are institutional money coming into both these assets with spot ETFs, things could change very radically, very, very fast. But let's switch gears again. Let's talk about DEX volumes. This is another chart. DEX volumes are exploding.
James, just one thing on that ETH supply. So the reason it is like this is because of staking. So since the start of the year, it's possible to stake. So there's no reason to move ETH. You just put it there, you get more ETH, and that's a big difference. And it's basically two effects. We have the inflation decreasing and the token burn in each transaction at the same time as we have most people just locking their ETH in staking. So it's removing the circulating supply on both ends here.
Yep. But either way, if billions start coming in and people are still sitting on their stake and they see the number go up, they're not going to unstake. So supply is still scarce.
Exactly.
It's a very interesting thing. Let's talk about DEX volumes for a second. I know we have some Rune fans. I was always a fan of Rune, but I do not hold it. But here, Thorchain literally did nearly $2 billion in volume in a week. PancakeSwap 2.9, Uniswap 12, Trader Joe 1.1, and Orca, which is a Solana one here, 1.05. Interesting changes here. Any comments on DEX volume? One of the forecasts I had for 2023 was DEX volumes would surpass SEX, centralized exchange volumes. Where do you guys see this going? Is this just the beginning as the user interface gets better, as the spreads get thinner, etc.? Where do you see it all going?
Oh, absolutely. I love the descent. I mean, this is what crypto is, right? It's people talk about decentralized, right? But what people actually care even more about is permissionless. That someone in, I don't know, Argentina can log in and do swaps, do trading at the same premises as someone living in New York City in the finance office. That is what crypto is. It's truly inclusive and permissionless for everyone. And decentralized exchanges enable that. While the centralized exchanges is just another type of bank, there will be different requirements. No, you're not permitted because we don't support your country, or you're not accredited investor in the US, so you are not permitted to do this kind of trades because your daddy wasn't rich, so then you're not accredited, and so on and so forth. While the centralized exchanges is a protocol, and I love to see this revolution, and it's playing out in front of our eyes. It keeps taking market share. It's getting better and better. Thorchain introduced recently this kind of streaming swaps, so one swap can be made over a longer period of time to get less fees and to not move the price so much on the automatic market maker. And all these innovations that's happening. Uniswap was such an innovation. It made decentralized exchanges actually usable for people. I love it. I think it is fantastic. This is what crypto is.
Yeah, awesome. Ivan, any thoughts on this crazy volume explosion on
Yeah,
decentralized?
it's just the beginning, guys. I mean, the first DEXs need to take over centralized exchanges, and that's happening. And in many days, biggest DEXs do more volume than biggest centralized exchanges, and it is going to be even more so in the bull market, as central exchanges will have more and more problems with KYC regulation, with access to liquidity, with siloed liquidity, and while on DEXs you'll have more and more collected liquidity, and liquidity begets liquidity. So that's going to be the first milestone. But the second milestone will be that all TradFi will be on chain as well. And it's so clear that whether it's going to take 10 or 20 years, all stocks, all bonds, everything is going to be on chain. All ownership is going to be on chain. That's how we can prevent a lot of the frauds that have happened, whether it is just the big financial crisis, great financial crisis with institutions buying and selling assets without really understanding the risk and what is in those different assets, or whether it's something like Enron, where you don't even know what is being accounted, like who is really keeping track of all the books. You cannot even trust the top accounting firms. Before we had the big 5 accounting firms, now it's only big 4 because one of them collapsed after they couldn't account properly. So all of this financial core crypto use case is still not fully explored and still not fully implemented in the world, and crypto is not used for finance as much right now. I mean, it is growing very fast, but the potential is so big, we haven't even captured the financial use case to 1% most likely. So the big goal will be when everything is trading on chain, and then that will happen sooner or later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And can I just add one thing, because I
Yeah.
saw a comment, someone saying that but centralized exchanges also give information to the IRS. Guys, the decentralized exchanges are even more transparent. There, everything is on chain and transparent forever. So I think that many of the auditor institutions like tax authorities and so on, once they understand it, they will love the centralized exchanges, because actually the history is there, public forever and verifiable. There's no debate about what has happened.
And it's way better because, guys, if you use an exchange, a centralized exchange, and it collapses, then you don't even have your transaction history. Maybe you downloaded a PDF or a CSV file with your transaction history. But then how do you prove that it's real? Because, I mean, maybe they will accept it at the tax office as evidence of transactions, or maybe not. Maybe they're going to say that you made it up yourself.
They don't, trust me.
So, yeah, so it's better on chain. Like everything is better on chain. It's undebatable, and it's proven, verified.
Yeah, I've
been the counterparty risk is removed, right? Yeah. I mean, if anyone was here during 2022, everyone almost got some exposure. All the exchanges went bankrupt right and left. It never stopped the whole year. And you don't have that problem on the centralized exchanges if you have taken proper care of your security, which is a big if. So that has to be very carefully managed.
So this is all about money. Let's look at the money flow from last week. This is huge. I just want you guys to focus on the year-to-date money flows, and it speaks to what we discussed about Ethereum. $55 million left Ethereum funds. 1.2 billion went into Bitcoin funds. 135 million went into Solana. So way more went into Solana than Ethereum, and the rest you can see: XRP 13 million, Cardano 8 million, Litecoin 4 million. And other mix like Matic, etc., 10 million. Tron down 51 million. Do you guys track money flow, and how significant is this? And could there be a new consensus based on this data year to date? And if you take the percentage of assets under management from year to date inflow, there is one asset that stands out a lot. So if follow the money is true, there's a message here somewhere. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, looking at this, I have two thoughts. Number one is that institutions, they FOMO like everyone else. Solana is pumping, they buy Solana. Bitcoin pumping, they buy Bitcoin. If ETH starts to pump, I can promise you ETH is also going to have inflows. And yeah, this is super interesting from CoinShares. Do you know, James, how big is this? I mean, Bitcoin is quite big, ETH and Solana as well. But are we here speaking about under management? Is it hundreds of millions?
This
Is
is
it
all the
billions?
ETPs, ETFs, etc. around the world: Australia, Canada, Switzerland, Sweden, Germany, Argentina, Brazil. It's all added up and tracked by coin shares. So the money flows into these different assets.
But is it just CoinShares own products, because they have own?
No,
ETPs?
it's
So it's
all
every-
ETPs,
got it,
all
got it.
ETFs. And of course,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
just shows you how small it is. But when you look at the impact of this money, you can track week to week money flows, because I talk about it every week for years now, and you can see the impact. Okay, if say 50 million leaves these ETFs, ETPs for Bitcoin, the price of Bitcoin goes down. It's that simple. If 50 million goes in, the price goes up. Direct correlation. It's not all the money flowing in, but it's the money flowing into funds, which is extremely significant. And I think it's just interesting to watch. And it's a good telltale of where things are going. And of course, you're dead right. Once Ethereum starts to pump, if Ethereum goes up 20% this week, next week we'll see this go up $50-100 million.
Oh, by the way, I see there you have a column for AUM. Okay. So this is 30. So overall in the world, we have
31 billion.
Billion, yeah. In Bitcoin, for example. Okay, got it. So yeah, long road to go for us to really be a real established asset. But yeah, everything starts small. Overall, we're at 40 billion overall right now in all of these ETPs and financial products. So it's super early. It's super early.
Exactly. Good. Let's switch gears now. One thing I do want to talk about, we're going to talk about AI, but we're going to go big before we open up to questions. First of all, AI cryptos. These are some of the AI cryptos that I track. Do you guys hold any? And what are your thoughts on them if you do? There's AGI, Fetch, Render, Ocean, DKA, Injective. Injective is also a DEX. Some people call it a AI play. It all depends. But do you have any names you watch? And do you believe in AI crypto? Or, because some of these names actually were different types of plays, and then AI revolution's happening, let's pivot to AI and change our name and stuff, which happens. But do you guys watch any of the AI crypto names at all?
Yeah, I mean, since they proven to be a good narrative earlier this year, I have AI coins, SingularityNet, Fetch, Render, and the thing is, as far as I can see, there is no use case. Like, there's no use case right now. There is in production. There are future use cases for a lot of them. Maybe Render is an exception. You probably know more here, James, as I know you've done many videos on Render specifically. But in terms of training models and using data in a decentralized manner where different data producers are tracing data, and then together we train models, it's still into the future. Also, there is a new coin, which is a BitTensor, Tau, which is building out infrastructure for the same thing, that you can have this decentralized network and different models can connect, and we can all train. So right now it's super early on, but the thing is, fundamentals right now, at least, they don't matter, as it is AI craze, as we will be discussing with OpenAI, and there's so much attention on AI that these coins have proven themselves as a category. They do perform extremely well as soon as AI is in the news. So for me, it makes perfect sense to be exposed.
Good. CTO, any plays for you here?
I agree with Ivan. I think it's a narrative mostly today, but I mean, there are real use cases here, and I think none has really managed to capture it yet. But I mean, this is where really two huge digital fields can really go together. Imagine if some product can actually capture the training of this network and actually monetize it with a token and so on. That is where decentralization can really come in. I think that hasn't happened yet. Perhaps it's a year or 2 years into the future, but perhaps it will be one of these projects. But I try to follow as much as possible here. I'm super interested, and it really is AI and crypto that are the two big narratives right now. The two big technology revolutions, actually, not just narratives.
Absolutely.
And perhaps they can fuse.
Yep. So since November 2022, I've been obsessed with AI. That actually coincided with the launch of ChatGPT, and it blew my mind. So this is just a smattering of things. I think everybody needs to embrace AI, be ready for it. It's coming. It's radically changing. I shared something a week or two ago that AI capability today will be 1,600 times better in less than 2 years. And this, CTO, you mentioned humans can't wrap their heads around exponentiality. Think about that. AI today can smash a legal bar exam. It can smash a medical entry exam. It can smash a GMAT, an SAT, whatever. Way better than any human. And it's going to be 1,600 times better in less than 2 years.
Oh, yeah. So this is the logarithmic growth. Like when I started studying AI, it's basically 30 years ago, then like every year it got better. Every couple of years, maybe it got twice as good. But when you see it on a linear scale, it feels like nothing is happening. It's like it was useless yesterday, it's useless today, it's useless tomorrow, even if it got twice as good. If you don't see the change. And then suddenly it comes to the inflection point where everyone see it, like ChatGPT. Oh my God, this is actually useful in my everyday work. I can actually use this. But then it will keep getting twice as good and twice as good and twice as good and twice as good in the same way as it did before.
Yep.
And now instead of it feeling like there is no change, now we cannot imagine how good it will become instead. Now it's like in that direction instead. And
yeah,
it is exactly like you said, and how this will change society, knowledge work, business. I think we cannot even imagine it here sitting. We cannot figure out how big change this will become.
And I remember having Jeff Booth on the channel. And he, one of the things he's famous for is what he calls the 34th fold. So if you fold a napkin 34 times, it reaches the moon. Like literally, it's true mathematically. Of course, you can't fold a napkin 34 times, but if you could, it would reach the moon, which again, the human can't comprehend. But let's get back to OpenAI. The news of the week, Sam Altman was fired on Friday by a board who seemed to be an incompetent bunch of fools, very much like HR departments in many companies. We'll see. But 770 employees have signed an open letter calling for the board to resign after Sam Altman was fired over the weekend. Microsoft emerged as the big winner because they have convinced Sam Altman to stay with Microsoft and help them drive their race to AI. Microsoft as well, I believe, in the next few weeks or months, will be the largest company in the world after Apple. I've mentioned this a few times too. But the turmoil in OpenAI, what does it mean? I have noticed as well, ChatGPT changed the way it works this morning. It's shittier than it was on yesterday. Literally, it changed everything. And Sam Altman is considered the golden child of AI. And having him stay with Microsoft is a big coup. But so many questions. We could talk about this for like 10 hours. But where do you see this going? You've got X getting in now with Grok. You've got Google trying to catch up with their Bard, which is kind of mixed in terms of performance. You got Microsoft making the clever OpenAI, purchase. Where do you see this all going? What is the future? What is the future for us? What is the future for governance? How much compute is needed? Who will win? I'll give it to you, Ivan, first, and then over to you, CTO. There's so much to talk about here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. But my theory is that Sam was removed because of this philosophical debate. How quickly should we evolve AI? And there are people in the company and previous colleagues of Sam who wanted to take it more easy and not have this full speed ahead with AI. And the rumor is at least that they've come very close to general intelligence, general intelligence. And if this is like you said, James, that suddenly ChatGPT is way worse, it kind of confirms that theory, because then they got rid of Sam and now they can make ChatGPT worse because they want to take it easy. They want to take a step back. They want to reassess this whole AI project. And I can understand that, but the thing is, everyone else will just speed past them, whether it's Google or Microsoft. There are so many financial incentives to just go ahead. So it's kind of it's a suicidal move maybe, and not very good for shareholder value, not very good for employer stocks and bonds at all, or stock options. So talent's gonna leave, is gonna be very tough to come back, and let's see what's gonna happen. But if Grok is better, it's better. If Bard is better, is better. If this is a censored AI that they want to do because they want to take it easy, it's not competitive.
No, and in fact, part of the problem, and many don't actually know this, is people think, oh, he was fired because he did something wrong or said something wrong. No, ChatGPT 5 was launched, and it melted faces within the organization, and they felt, oh, this is way too good. We can't release this stuff. And Sam wanted to release it. The other scientist guy, I can't remember his name, didn't want to.
Ilya.
Yeah. And this is kind of what I say. AI today will be 1,600 times better in less than 2 years. And this is kind of GPT-5, GPT-6, GPT-7. They're all coming faster and faster, and they're getting better and better. And this version 5 terrified the team, except for Sam. He wanted to release it. So that's the interesting tweak. So CTO, from your AI experience, your technology experience, does it terrify you? Do they need more governance? Is this going to change lives? Is it going to wreck lives? Is it going to wreck the world?
I saw someone say, was it a year ago or something, that during this decade, the two big technology innovations have been in the field of mathematics. It has been cryptocurrency, and artificial intelligence, because mathematics is the only field left that hasn't been over-regulated. That mathematics has been the only field where you could freely innovate without someone saying you can't do this, you can't do that, you have to fill out the form, you have to have money, you need to have lawyers, which means then that people like a brilliant person without too much money can't do it. Say, I don't know if Vitalik, I don't know his family history, but someone like that, a young programmer, have been able to play around in these two fields. And I kind of always felt that that's a good thing. I haven't really been worried about the AI as a threat to humanity or something. But at the same time, I listened to Elon Musk's interview with on Lex Friedman a couple of weeks ago, and he was very critical to OpenAI, how it's done. He said that he came up with the name OpenAI, and open was supposed to stand for open source. And it was supposed to be not for profit company. And he said now it's maximize profit instead of not profit. And open now means closed source or something like that. And he was very critical, and this was just a couple of weeks ago. And I kind of was a little surprised that he felt like that. But at the same time, I mean, I really much more about this company and the situation than I do. So I don't know, maybe there was a point. Everyone is angry now, but I don't know, maybe there was some point behind all this, because he was very critical too a couple of weeks ago. Yep. Then in terms of the company, I think this is a great example how one decision can destroy the whole company. I mean, they wiped out the company basically. All the employees that matter have signed a letter saying that they're threatening to leave to Microsoft, and it said in the letter that Microsoft has offered every single AI researcher in the company a position. So maybe they wipe out the whole company by one decision. I mean, if they wanted to change something, clearly this wasn't the way to do it. And I think there will be books written about how you can destroy a company in one day.
Microsoft, they had an interesting deal where they basically could, or they had ownership in this AI before it becomes AGI, artificial general intelligence. That Microsoft had the rights to OpenAI IP, but only up until the point where they reach this general intelligence. So who knows? Maybe Microsoft staged the whole coup to take it over when they realized we're getting very close here. And if they don't have the rights to OpenAI's IP, then they're gonna get wiped out, because this, if it really reaches AGI, and like you said, James, this 1600 times better AI in 2 years is gonna wipe out many companies, if not the majority of them. Like, it's going to be a whole new way of doing business. And the question is, like, what will people do? Maybe we should also be like stand-up comedians, you know. What else is like some human connection? Maybe I can tell you some jokes or something where it's but AI is going to replace that also. But maybe there's something about telling storytelling about real human experiences. I don't know, AI can fake that as well.
Or you'll be able to ask AI, hey, put together 3 guys in the image of Ivan and CTO and create a crypto channel every Monday. It's going to happen. We won't have a job in 2 years. Not that we have a job. We do this for fun. But it's going to change everything. And that's why people need to embrace it or walk away. So you guys have some time for some questions. Don't forget to subscribe to the channels below, everybody. The links are below. And let's just do a couple of questions from the community. And pop anything in here as well. So first of all, from MT, I love this crew. Let's go. You guys have a lot of fans here. Question, not really, more of a statement from Lee Qualify. No one can stop Jesus. Blessings, God bless. So there you go. Captain Autumn.
Promotion,
Yeah, I checked the tokenomics on it. It's terrible if it is the coin. So do not. Anyway. It's funny what people do and what they copy. Captain Autumn, if Saylor and company are never selling, is there plan to actually cash in at some point? I'm confused. Any thoughts, gentlemen? So, you guys all know Michael Saylor. You know MicroStrategy. He has 37,000 Bitcoin himself. His organization has 158,000. So between the two of them, they get nearly 200,000 Bitcoin, which is a lot. It's like 1.5% of the supply that'll ever exist because 5 million coins are lost. What do you guys think? Do you think they'll ever sell?
No, I mean, it's an asset. As long as it goes up in value, you can borrow against it. It keeps going up. As long as it has things going for it, it's a nice asset. And it's like the Neo and the Morpheus meme. Neo asks Morpheus, "You mean that I can sell my bitcoins for millions someday?" And Morpheus says, "Neo, someday when you understand, you won't have to." So as long as it's an asset which they can borrow against, they can get liquid cash against. There's no reason to sell. They can keep operations going. They can keep the company afloat. I don't know if they still sell a lot of their core business, like if that's even important to them soon, because just managing this massive Bitcoin bag, if Bitcoin goes to $1 million, I don't know if they should be still doing the other like software stuff, because just managing it and then growing the Bitcoin stash probably is a better return than the use of time.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, but they are trying to pivot into AI as well and crypto payments using Bitcoin. So, and Michael Saylor, a very smart guy. I've been tracking him for 20 years. The minute he bought Bitcoin was the minute I started investing in MicroStrategy. It's very bizarre because I knew how clever he is. Anyway, I think my perspective on Saylor, and I know him, listened to him, interviewed him, and etc. He sees Bitcoin as a city block in Manhattan. It's real estate that you hold on in your family and you pass on to generations. His vision and mission is to leave a legacy and find a way to educate the world for free. That's his whole thing. Any comments on Michael Saylor, MicroStrategy, CTO?
He's not going to sell.
Yep. Okay.
Absolutely not.
Good. I like that conviction. I like it.
Yeah.
Well. Maybe if the board fires him or something. But I think Eugene said that he cannot be fired, right?
He owns 30% of the stock. He's made it so that the board can't fire him. He's clever. I told you he's clever. Good. Metageist question. What is ETH waiting for? Why is it so slow? What's the catalyst that could make it pop? So apart from the spot ETFs, do you guys see any other catalysts that could make Ethereum pop? And it is popping today, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's just that all the weak hands need to dump, and we're working our way through it, and we're at the end of it. I mean, just like with Solana, what was the catalyst? Not just all the weak hands sold, and the scare happened. FTX gone, Sam SBF gone. Everyone who is worried sold. Robinhood removed it from the app. Everyone sold, and then no more sellers, and we go up. The same thing is going to be with it.
Good point. Any thoughts, CTO?
No, I think so too. It's like trends stick in markets. So if it turns up, it could be some random event or no event. It just, the last person has sold, so it starts going up. Then it could start picking up, narratives come back, and so on. Or it doesn't. We have to keep, I feel it's important to keep that open mind, especially when it comes to altcoins, because I learned when studying the history throughout these years, there has always been people who feel that this coin can never get replaced, and then it gets replaced. So I'm sure that that's the same feeling now. I don't think it's going to happen, but it could. So I'm
Awesome.
going to, take in the facts that's happening. And
we have a final question, and this is regarding Bitcoin miners. And I also study the miners intently, pretty much on a daily basis, and they are pumping today after a weak period of the last month or so. But this is from Fits and Starts. What activity could we see from the miners when the supply on exchanges is all gone? So miners are beginning to pivot from selling to cover bills to hodling right now. What do you guys think the miners will do as when supply on exchanges disappears? Will they be more inclined to hold because scarcity will drive price up, or will they take the money? Ivan, I see you nodding. Or CTO, you go.
Yeah, I mean, most miners that I've looked at, but of course, James, you have a better picture, but their business model relies a little bit on that you have to mine it now at this price, but sell it later when price has gone up. Because there's enough miners who's willing to add capacity, driving up the difficulty, to that point. So I think that many of them, they're not going to mine it and sell it the next day. They're going to mine it, hold it. And many of these are large, skilled market analysts. They are large, skilled players. These are not the guys who's missing the turnaround in the market. That's retail. So I think at this point in the market, I think they will have the same analysis that we have. Now is not the time to sell. They're going to sit on the Bitcoin they mine and try to sell it later when price has gone up. That's my strong feeling about what the miners are doing here.
Awesome. Good stuff. We have a piece. I said I made a mistake. I said you fold a napkin 34 times, it reaches the moon. I was wrong. It's 42 times. Apologies. I got 34 and 42 mixed up. So people are very quick to correct you on the internet. And I appreciate that. We're all human, and I try to remember a million things in my head. Sometimes I get my numbers a little bit inverted like the napkin fold. So with that, everybody, any final thoughts? We have nearly 2,200 people watching live. And a big thank you as well to...
I thought about one thing. Are you guys worried about the fees? Fees have gone up quite a bit.
Oh yeah, fees in Ethereum have gone up. Fees in Bitcoin have gone up. Ordinals are back. I think fees are great for the miners. In fact, one of the things I forecasted for the future is as the Bitcoin mining reward goes to zero almost, all the money for the miners will come from fees. And I'm extremely happy to see that right now. That means they can keep the lights on and they can keep the network secure. So that's extremely important. Before I forget as well, big thank you as well to Jeff Hammer and Daryl Anderson as well out there for super stickers. And we help our little furry friends as a result of that. So yeah, that's so important of fees. I am happy to see fees being high. And remember, the average transaction amount for Bitcoin sometimes can be very substantial. And I still think when you're moving $1 billion for, I think somebody moved $1 billion for 98 cents last year or something. It's kind of a little too cheap, I'd say. Ivan, what are your thoughts on Bitcoin fees?
Yeah, I mean, it's always going to be high in the bull market, guys. There's no way. We have a bull market. It's high fees, high activity, high demand, high price increase. It goes hand in hand. It is what it is. Lightning, it will not solve it. I see more and more Lightning maxis giving up and saying that this is too complex. And I think I saw Brad Mills, who is a big Lightning proponent. He learned how Lightning works like yesterday, where he realized that you need all of this, all of these channels open and all of that.
Dear.
So we don't have any scaling for Bitcoin, guys, sadly. But now that finally we can put Lightning to rest, maybe there will be something. So I'm hopeful, not for this cycle, but for next one. But for now, at least, it's part of the bull market, and it's a good sign. I mean, it's a sign that there is demand. The people want their thing into the to be in the block, and let's hope it continues.
And we covered actually a few months ago. I outlined all the reasons why Lightning is broken, and I remember we had that discussion here with you too. But Jack Dorsey from Square is trying to build a payments capability on Lightning, and then Jack Mollers from Strike also is doing great work in that realm. Do you think a Lightning alternative can come from either of these two or another company?
No. So I mean, they're doing centralized. I know, for example, with Strike, it's centralized. I mean, it is Lightning technically, but it's not that it's everyone having their own channels. It's a big channel to a centralized entity, and it is technically Lightning, yes, but it's not the Lightning that everyone thinks it is. So I think that we need new approach, new way of thinking. Maybe the stacks. I see some people mentioning, and the faster it is okay to say that maybe we should try something else, and you don't get banished from the Bitcoin world as a traitor and scammy altcoiner, the better. Like the faster we get into a world with innovation and we can discuss ideas in Bitcoin again, the better. And I think we're getting there. It's a big change that's happening right now within Bitcoin.
Awesome. So the pumpamentals are still good, correct, Ivan? We're pumping.
Pumpamentals are good. Fundamentals are good. I think we have 50% pumpamentals and 50% fundamentals right now, aligning perfectly.
Awesome. Thank you both. Next week, we are back on CTO's channel, if I'm not mistaken. And the week after that, back on Ivan's channel. Big thank you to nearly 2,200 people watching live. Thank you all for your support. Thank you, gentlemen. Have a great week ahead. And
thanks, guys.
See you all soon. Thank you to the mods in the chat and everybody else for coming up. Have a great Monday.
Bye-bye.
Week is looking good.
Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye.